Parabellum.
Translation,
Prepare for war.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Boy reviews.
Cut to my students falling asleep in class.
All right, we're here to review John Wick 3. Nick, Gabe. Wow, this was an action movie. Nick, what were your thoughts?
Okay, one word, and then we can stop the review right there. Brutal.
Absolutely brutal.
So, we know we got a lot of youngsters that watch our videos. We appreciate the love. But please don't sneak off and check out this movie without parent permission. Holy cow.
It is definitely very, very gruesome. It earned its R rating. And, you know, we were having a discussion before, and Keanu Reeves, to me, is responsible for not necessarily being the biggest action star or the most notable action star in the 2000s, but the movies he's been involved with, from The Matrix, which really gave way to all the CGI and all the really insane choreography, to now John Wick, which is no CGI and just practical effects and crazy choreography. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. The guy scares me.
I think Keanu Reeves, the best word that sums him up in his movie career is diverse. This man started off with one of my personal favorites in 1990, maybe even 89, with Bill and Ted's
Excellent Adventures.
And he's making a third one, by the way, with him and his boy Bill. But he goes from that, and then he does Speed, which is awesome. Great action flick.
Was Breaking Point before that? Or
Point Break may have been... I think it may have been just barely after Bill and Ted's, but it may have been before. I don't know, but you're right. Point Break. Awesome. And then he kind of just, was a traditional regular actor. And then The Matrix came out. And that boy learned some kung fu.
Absolutely.
And not just that, but his acting was superb. I don't care what anyone says about how he delivers lines. That is just the way he does things. Right. But it was perfect for Neo. And then you're right. He does the romantic comedies with Sandra Bullock, a few of those. Right. He does this, he does that. There's a really horrible movie called Knock Knock that he did not just too long ago. But then he busts out John Wick. I think it was 2014, the first John Wick came. And then all of a sudden, once again, his reputation, all-time high.
His star is burning bright. Now, if you're fans of the channel and you've seen most of our reviews, you know what it's like, full of spoilers. And the thing about this movie is you really have to at least watch the second one to understand it, because just like the second one picks up 5 days after the first one, this one picks up minutes after John Wick 2. And you need to really understand that he is this legendary figure in the underworld and in the world of assassins, to the fact where even other assassins are in awe of him. And one of the things I realized in this movie, and I'm glad they did that, is that I like to call it the Tyson effect. Most of you that, follow boxing know that Mike Tyson was a bad man back in the day. But a lot of fighters admitted that before they jumped in the ring, they were already defeated because he just cast this huge, giant shadow. And he used to knock guys out like in, 22 seconds. That was the bet in Vegas. How quickly would he knock them out? So I feel like a lot of these guys go in and it's a losing battle because they're so intimidated by him and his legend, his reputation, that they offer him that respect where, they're overly cautious to make my point, with the ninja assassins. A lot of them were just in awe to be able to, they were, thanking him for fighting him. And, they were like fanboys of John Wick. But he's a quick synopsis of the first two movies. He's this assassin who went into retirement to settle down, marry his wife. His wife was terminally ill, died of cancer. She left him a puppy dog. And they called back to that in this movie, which I love. She left him a little puppy so he wouldn't be alone, and he loved this dog. So he's out of the assassin life. This is 5 years later, and he runs into some local thugs who are your new generation. They don't know who he is. They offer to buy his car. He says no. They follow him home, take him by surprise, which I know that's one of the things that bothered you about the first John Wick, and kill his dog. Oh my. And the thing about it is, it's the dog represented the last connection he had to his wife. That's why it's so important. Anyway, fast forward, he kills the thugs, and it ends up that the thugs are related to the main crime boss that John Wick used to work for, so he goes and kills him. And the second part, He's pursued once again by the leader of this family, or one of the brothers of the leader of this family. And make a long story short, he ends up breaking one of the rules of the Continental. Continental is this hotel, and there's several of them around the world, but it's a safe haven for assassins. One of the rules at the Continental, no business in the Continental, meaning you can't kill anyone there. Well, the main bad guy of the movie, you know, abuses this, goes into the Continental and pretty much teases them like, a man can live here for a year and not eat the same thing twice. I don't have to go anywhere. So John Wick says, you know what, you're right, and just boom, kills him. So he broke a rule of the Continental. Now it's the entire guild of assassins coming after him because he broke that rule. All right, take it away.
All right, so that takes us into John Wick 3. Like Gabe said, it picks up right after John Wick 2. And the plot's pretty simple. Every assassin that works for the table, they are offered $14 million to take out John Wick. He's been excommunicado, which they said that word about 15 times. It started getting my nerves a little bit, but they love that word.
Right.
And so he had the hit order put on him by the high table, or by the table, the people in charge of everything, which I still can't wait to meet these people. And he has to survive. He has to go in survival mode, and he's trying to he is calling in every single favor that he has. And that was really cool. The good thing about these movies is they take an object like a coin or a marker or a medallion, and they turn it into something of value, right, more than just the almighty dollar. Right. These tokens mean way more than just $100 or $1,000 or $1 million do. Right. And so he has all these, you find out throughout the movie, and he's just trying to stay alive. And he tells you in the movie that he wants to stay alive. For what reason?
To remember his wife.
To remember his wife. That is love right there, still after all this time of him, after he had lost her. Right. And so this movie goes in different directions. You meet Halle Berry. I thought her character was fantastic. You meet different people who are working for the table. I thought all of that was cool. The dialogue was very slick, very cool. There was a few parts of the dialogue that I did not really love, but for the most part, the dialogue, there's really not a lot of dialogue here. It's an action movie, but they use their dialogue in a wise way. For me, where this movie started to lose me was when he got to Saudi Arabia or wherever he was at with the sand dunes and everything, and then he has to go to this faraway place to try to plead for his life, and I just thought that was a little over the top. This is an action over the top film. The plot's usually pretty slick, like I said, but that part was just a little too much for me. What'd you think? Of him going out to the dunes to plead for his life.
Yeah, I mean, that desert part, it didn't bother me as much, but I could see where that's where the movie slowed down.
Yeah, it took me way out of it.
But to be honest, the movie needed to be slowed down, because right after, the first 5 minutes, it was action.
Awesome.
I'm glad you mentioned Halle Berry. At first, I didn't know she was in this movie. You know, guess what? She's back. And man, I had given up on her after Catwoman. Oh, Catwoman. I could go on a rant about that right now, but I'm not. But one of the things I like that they did with Halle Berry is they gave her to us in doses. You know, she was a powerful female character, but she didn't have to be in something skimpy like Catwoman, where you're like, really, that's what you're gonna go out and fight with? She was very, very believable in the role, which is why I loved her. And I think that all the characters, you know, Laurence Fishburne, all of them played their role. Like you said, there's not a lot of dialogue, but the dialogue they did have was straight to the point. And I love movies that don't give you too much exposition. Like, let me figure it out for myself, you know?
No, they definitely do. There's this great scene where there's a theater, and there's these girls practicing for ballet, and whoever those dancers were did a fantastic job, by the way. Right. And then there's these 3 bad guys that come in from the back to the front of the stage, and the girls are so well trained. They're still rehearsing, they're still dancing. Right. And just that alone was enough of an image for us to know that these guys mean business, that a certain character's in trouble, right, and they don't need to say, now you're going to pay, or some lame line like that. Right. I agree with you. I think all the characters, Laurence Fishburne, Halle Berry, obviously Keanu Reeves, and the guy, I can't think of his name right now, but who's from Deadwood. He played Winston, the main guy. Right. He, all of them, they knew who their character was. Right. There was one character I had a problem with, and that was the adjudicate. How do you say that?
I think it was the adjudicator or something to that effect.
We'll have to fix it. We'll put it on the text right here. Right. But she had a certain name, and I don't know if it was the character that bugged me more, because the character kind of fit in this world, or the actress. And I'm sure she's a fine actress, right, but I could not stand that character. How'd you feel about her?
It's funny, I turned to you in the movie, it's like, she's got to die. I want her to die. But then I kind of get the point where the movie goes at the end, again, this world's a lot bigger than Winston. It's a lot bigger than John Wick. And she, for all intents and purposes, is untouchable. Okay, that's why they wouldn't. She represents the organization. If you take her out, it's really going to be a bad day. And you've seen that even the legendary Baba Yaga, he's running out of time. He's running out of resources because this entire organization is so vast and have so many resources that, again, to touch her would have really been a death warrant. And then at the end, you understand why Winston didn't touch her, because he had several opportunities to do so, but his motivations were a little bit different than, of course, John Wick's in the movie. I like where they went with the character. I thought that they were going to do something lame, like, make John Wick a bad guy, hashtag Daenerys, for all of you Game of Thrones fans that got super upset with it. They didn't do that. They didn't make our good guy that we've been loving for the last 3 movies.
Spoilers!
Okay? They didn't make him a bad guy. And I like that fact of it. He's true to his word, true to his code. And honestly, I thought it was gutsy the way they ended the movie, but you told me something today and I was shocked. How much money has the movie made already?
I want to say over $200 million. It's already made more in 2 weeks, and we're late to this party, than the second one made, and that was a big hit. Definitely more than the first one made. The big thing about John Wick 3 for me is I love John Wick the first one, but I came to that a few years later. People kept talking about it. I finally gave it a chance. I don't know what my problem was. And then the second one, I watched that one pretty close to when it came out, and I thought it was a great follow-up. I thought, there's only so many ways that you can tell this story with these characters. But I honestly feel like this third one, with the exception of a few parts, is probably the strongest one. I think overall, I was telling you, this has a better story than the first two. This gives us different characters. It gives us, like you said, it opens up the world. It lets us know that there's more players involved. And this movie, the director, he's directed all of them. And the producers, the storytellers, they do a great job of creating this world. And this movie definitely fits in the franchise. Like I said, it may be the strongest one. There was a few choreography action moves because there's about 7 or 8 big fights that Keanu Reeves has to memorize all these different moves for. It's unbelievable. There's a few that, for me, it was almost like WWE, where it's like a beginning of the card fight for WrestleMania, and they're pulling their punches. There was just a few parts that, to me, the fights kind of dragged on a little too much. Like the end of Lethal Weapon 1, that fight just takes way too long. But for the most part, the choreography is amazing. It's definitely on point. Again, kids, there are at least 5 different times where a blade goes through a head. No joke. And there's one point, I'm not going to describe it right now, with an eye and a knife. Holy cow, there is so much gore. Not really gore. There's so much intense images in this movie. Please be warned. But it is a fantastic movie. Any ending thoughts?
I was afraid when they announced John Wick 3, honestly. And the reason I was afraid is because in the history of movies, the trilogies anyway, the third one is always the worst received. X-Men 3, I can't contain myself. X-Men 3, The Last Stand, that was atrocious.
Last one.
Exactly. Even Back to the Future 3, one of my favorite
what?
I did not like Back to the Future 3.
Oh, stop.
2 was the best for me. 1 was good, but
Build the wall right here.
I always feel like that trilogy, the third part, always falls
Future
short.
3, I love you.
Very seldom is the third one as good, if not better, than the first one. And I will say that you're right. This story is better. This movie is better than the first and second one, which I'm so ecstatic for. So, I like it. I mean, I think I'm ready to give my grade. What about you?
We're ready to go. Let's put it up here. What do you got?
I give John Wick Parabellum an A-.
Woo!
A-.
Ooh, we're going to move that grade over a little bit because that Hogwarts banner is fantastic, but it blends too many colors in. But A-. Holy cow. Believe it or not. Now, when I give my grades, I give it on a few different parameters I put into place when I'm giving my grades. First of all, what is the genre? So my grade is based on the movie in that genre, not all-time movies. Also, did it deliver on the acting? Did it deliver on the story? Did it deliver on the action? On all those things. And so I'm going to give John Wick 3 Parabellum a solid A.
Ooh, wow.
That's right,
higher than me.
A.
Wow.
Again, do I think it's top 10 of all time movies? Of course not. Do I even think it's top 10 action movies of all time? I don't think so. But I had a blast watching this movie. Right. It was fantastic. Like I said, the story, they really brought it up. And, I mean, this franchise really is becoming a behemoth, I think.
I'm glad that you mentioned franchise because they ended it in a very loose way to let you know there's going to be a part 4. And apparently part 4 has already been greenlit. And why wouldn't it be? This is a Lionsgate movie. Lionsgate. And they're putting up huge numbers. Why wouldn't they strike while their iron's hot and continue to make these as long as, the ageless Keanu Reeves is able to continue to do all this amazing choreography.
He deserves some serious respect. This guy, there's some training videos on YouTube I was telling him about. Watch those. This guy seriously puts that preparation in there. He definitely Parabellums for this role.
You know what? I like that. Again, guys, it's a great movie. Again, the way I usually do my ratings is how much did I enjoy the movie? Would I see it again? Usually movies that I really enjoy are going to get anywhere between a B and an A. C are average movies, and I still haven't got to a D or an F. But, X-Men, Dark Phoenix is coming. Oh, it's coming. And you'll hear the epic rant about that. But with that being said, go out, watch this movie again, rated R. So make sure your parents are the ones taking you if you happen to be rated R means under 18 at this point, right? Or 17 at that point. But a lot of gratuitous violence. That's the way I could put it. And it was fabulous. Fabulous.
It was fantastic. I had a great time. Until next time, adios. No!
Finally, I got the mic all to myself. That's right, I Baba Yaga'd him.